Hello again, everybody. I'm KHOU 11 Meteorologist Pat Cavlin here with just an update on what's going on for tonight weather-wise. We've obviously got a couple storms that are starting to move in. We had one storm roll through the north side of the city earlier this evening that has since weakened and moved east, but we've got much more on the way here as we go through the rest of the overnight. So this is a live look from our camera in Conroe. This is I-45 right here. We're looking north, and if we stay on this shot long enough, occasionally you'll see a couple of flashes of lightning right there on the horizon, pretty much in the middle of the screen. And that's a big storm that's up near the Huntsville area. So let's take a look at radar and we'll see what we're dealing with right now. This was the storm first that we were tracking north of the city. Again, now starting to fall apart, bringing some heavy rain to Mont Belvieu, but nothing severe still with that system. Now we kind of focus our attention up to the north, and I mean way north here, right? So there's Conroe. So we're looking up towards the Huntsville area. We do have a special weather statement for this storm. Basically, that's the National Weather Service's way of saying the storm isn't quite severe yet. We're just below that criteria, but it's definitely a storm that's worth keeping an eye on. So as we get in for a closer look here, you can see a pretty good magenta core in the middle of that. That's typically where we find the heaviest rainfall rates and maybe even the presence of some small hail. So as we go over to our hail tracker, our hail detector, notice the little bit of gray and white in here. So we're seeing small hail. We're not quite in the severe category yet, which would be demarcated by more of a magenta color. That's good news. But again, as these storms kind of pulse up and recycle themselves, it is possible that the hail size may increase. And if that happens, that would typically warrant the issuance of an actual warning for this storm. We are not there yet, though, but still a pretty feisty storm just north of Huntsville here along I-45. Rough ride between Huntsville and Madisonville on the interstate. More heavier storms up towards Trinity County, and then more rain going back off towards the west right now. As we widen the shot, you can see all of this rain is pretty much the precursor to what we're going to see here later on this evening. And you can actually see how they're lining up here from Lufkin all the way back through Bryan College Station, getting down towards I-10, headed west towards San Antonio. That's pretty much what we're going to be watching for as we go through the rest of the overnight. As a cold front from North Texas intersects that line, we're going to see even more growth and more development in rain. It's all very slow moving at the moment, but this will eventually all sweep its way through our area as we get through the overnight. So we do have a weather impact alert in effect. The severe threat is there. It's very low, but it's not zero. It's a level 1 out of 5, 5 being the worst. So it's a level 1 for everybody still. Again, the potential that if a storm gets severe, we could see maybe a damaging wind gust, an isolated tornado threat. I really emphasize that. And then again, just heavy rain. In fact, as we check out the threats and the impacts just broken down category by category, street flooding is what we're mainly concerned about, just with how much heavy rain we're expecting through the area. Not talking about, highway flooding, or not talking about home flooding or bayou flooding, just because we're so dry still. We'll be able to absorb a lot of that water, but some of our drainage systems won't be able to absorb, prolonged periods of heavy rain. So that's where maybe some street flooding and street ponding may be an issue. Hail, wind damage, tornado threat. Again, it's not zero, but it is low. So that's something we'll have to look for if any storms try to become severe. Main headline, though, is just a rainy night coming up for us. The second headline is what happens tomorrow. The winds really start to whip up, and that's going to bring in some much colder temperatures. Unfortunately, we also stay cloudy all the way into the start of the week, so it feels very January-like, very winter-like here, getting into the next 2 days. So there's future track at midnight. So here comes that line in from North Texas, intersecting with that line that's just north of Huntsville right now. This obviously starts to really kind of bulk up as that front pushes down on it. I would say by about 4 to 5 a.m., that line is starting to move offshore. And then it's gone. We dry things out by mid-morning, but the clouds stick around. So it's a cloudy, cold, raw kind of day for us tomorrow. Again, really windy as well. By Monday morning, showers are back, and then we do another round of heavy rain. This is not going to be severe in nature. No thunderstorms expected with that, but it's going to be a cold, wet, rainy, breezy day for us on Monday. So temperatures right now in the 60s to low 70s across the area. As we go through the overnight, that wall of cold weather pushes in. And tomorrow, a lot of spots won't even, we'll barely get into the low 50s here across a good part of the area. And you factor in winds gusting 25, 30, 35 miles per hour, it's going to feel more like the 30s and 40s for a lot of spots. So that's a look at how things are doing right now. Again, no severe warnings at the moment. We're watching the rain to the north of Huntsville. we're going to keep watching it off camera here behind the scenes. And if anything severe does pop up, we will jump on here, KHOU 11 Plus, for the update. And if there's anything significant like a tornado warning, we'll actually break in on TV. But until then, we'll see you on the KHOU 11 News at 10 o'clock with an update on radar and the forecast for the rest of the weekend. Thanks for watching. We'll see you then.